Loan repayments. We're on page 10 of the booklet. So loan repayments can be used to make purchases. So if you want to buy something and you can't pay it off straight away, you'll often take out a loan. Now, we did do these sorts of questions with simple interest, but with compound interest loans, you only pay interest on what you still owe them. So it's actually much better to have a compound interest loan. So, as I said, loans can either be flat rate or reducible rate loans. So what we're doing today are reducible rate loans. So reducible interest on loans is interest that is calculated only on the amount still owing, while a flat rate interest loan, like a simple interest loan, is calculated on the original amount borrowed. So let's say you've borrowed $100,000. When you only owe $50,000, you're only paying interest on the $50,000 left. And when you owe $10,000 still, you're only paying interest on the $10,000 left. So that's why it's called reducible interest loan, because as you pay off the loan over many years, the amount of interest that you pay back keeps decreasing, okay, because you'll owe less money as time goes by. As you've nearly paid the loan off, you'll hardly pay any interest, okay? But with a flat rate interest loan, let's say you're paying $1,000 interest a year, you'll pay $1,000 interest a year every year until you've finished with a flat rate interest loan. Whereas with a reducible interest loan, you might start paying, I don't know, $1,000 interest in the first year, but only $800 interest in the second year and $600 in the third, etc. So the amount of interest you pay as time goes on reduces. So with reducible interest, interest for the period is added to the balance owing. Now it'll be easier when I do it in a table for you. And then a loan repayment is deducted. So what happens is, this probably doesn't make much sense to you yet, but the amount owing after a period is the balance owing. We have to add the interest for the period, and then we'll make a loan repayment. Now, I will do a quick example, and then you'll get the idea. So let's just do the example, and you'll see what happens. So Paige borrowed $15,000 to buy a car at a reducible interest rate of 8% per annum, and she made annual repayments of $1,500. So what is the interest rate? You know how we've got, what's the rate? 8% per annum, which is 0.08. I know I'm using the simple interest formula here. Now, the reason is I'm just working out the interest for the first year. Whether I use the simple interest formula or the compound interest formula, you'd actually get the same result, okay? So interest for the first year, because interest for the first year is principal times the rate times n, it's 15,000 times 0.08 times 1 year. So for the first year, my principal is 15,000. My interest rate, we can see there, was 0.08, and n is 1 year, okay? So I don't use, girls, what we're doing here, we're trying to pay, we're paying a loan off, all right? So we've borrowed $15,000. What's the interest for the first year? 15,000 times 0.08 times 1 is $1,200. So, okay, you owe the bank the $15,000. They're charging you $1,200 interest in the first year. So what you really owe them is $15,000 plus $1,200. Does that make sense? But you're making a repayment of how much in the first year? She made annual repayments of $1,500. So what do I do? What do you owe them? You owe them $15,000. The interest for the first year is $1,200. So you now owe them $16,200, but you're making a repayment of how much? $1,500. So what do you owe them now? What's that? $14,700. Okay. So can you see the interest for the first year is $1,200? What happens if you pay them back only $1,000? Your amount that you owe them will keep going up. See, the reason that you only owe them $14,700 now is that they're charging you $1,200 interest, but you're paying $1,500 back. In actual fact, how much have you only paid off your loan in that first year? You've only paid $300 off it. So even though you've paid them back $1,500 in that first year, $1,200 was interest, and 300 comes off what you really owe them, off the principal. Does that make sense? Now, you'll see now why this is called a reducible rate interest loan. It's not that the rate goes down. The rate doesn't go down, but the amount of interest will keep going down every year, okay? So at the end of the first year, you think, great, I just paid them $1,500 and I still owe them $14,700. So let's look at our interest just for year 2, not for 2 years, for the second year. So we're going to use I equals PRN as well. But what's the principal now? $14,700. The interest rate is still the same, which is 0.08. You know how our rate is 8%? And N is 1 year again. So I'm just working out my interest for the second year. Okay, so the interest for the second year is going to be smaller than the interest for the first year because you only owe them $14,700, but it's still that same interest rate of 8% per annum. What's the interest for the second year? 1,176. Exactly. How much do we owe them at the end of the second year? Well, the opening balance was $14,700. They're charging 1,176 interest, but they're paying off. Just think, I still owe them this. They're going to add the interest on, and then I'm going to make a repayment. Does that make sense? So minus what? 1,500. Now, this answer should be less than 14,700. Even though we paid off $300 off in the first year, you're going to see we end up paying off a bit more than 300 in the second year. What do we get? 14,374 means we've actually paid off, I think, 376. Yes, it is a 6. So 14,376. If we paid off 300 again, we would have had 14,400. So we've actually paid $324 off in that second year. We've reduced the loan by that much. Can you see that? Because look, we owed 14,700 at the end of the first year. Now we owe 14,376 at the end of the second year. Now, at the beginning, so year 2 is finished. Year 3 is starting. We still owe them 14,376. So they're only going to charge us interest on that. Does that make sense? Times it by 0.08, times it by 1. Do you understand why we're just doing 1 year? Because I'm only talking about the third year. When you're talking about 1 year only, you can use the simple interest formula. All right? So what do we get there? It should be less than 11. Notice the interest, girls, for the first year was 1,200. Second year was 1,176. This answer should be less than 1,176. I'm thinking it's about 1140 or 1130 something. What are you getting?
1,150.
Oh. Can I have someone else's? $1,150.08. So at the beginning of the third year, you owed $14,376. We're going to add the interest on that they're going to charge you. They always charge you interest, $1,150.08. And we're going to take away our repayment of $1,500. And what do you owe them, or whoever it is owes them now? The answer is $14,026.08. You keep it as exactly percent. This is on a bank account or a statement, and they do everything to the cent. It's not like when you're shopping and they can only give you 5 cents or 10 cents change, okay? So you do it exactly to the cent. So therefore, what was the total amount of interest paid over the 3 years? Can you see them? Here's one, 1,200. So we've got 1,200. 1176 and $1,150.08. Hence, reducible rate loan. It's actually not a reducible rate, it's a reducible interest. Why is the interest going down? Because you owe them less every year. And they only calculate the interest on what you owe them. So add those three up, and what is the total amount of interest paid after 3 years? Well, it's 3,000 something. So after 3 years, just think, you've paid $3,526.08 of interest. Tell me how much you still owe them. Well, what's the balance on the loan after 3 years? $14,000. You've basically barely paid off $1,000, but you've paid back $3,500 in interest, just in interest. And you've actually paid them back 1,500 times 3. What you've actually paid them back, this is what you've paid back to them. You've paid back, haven't you made 3 repayments of 1,500? Yes or no? You've paid back $4,500, and of that $4,500, $3,526 was interest, and you've paid a little bit less than $1,000 off the actual loan. Does that make sense? All right, welcome to the world, girls. It's in the table. First year, the principal was $15,000. The interest was $1,200. The principal plus the interest was $16,200. And now we're going the principal plus the interest minus the yearly repayment. I don't mind if you, so it's that minus the repayment of $1,500 gave me a balance of $14,700. Year 2, the new principal was $14,700. The interest decreased to $1,176. Principal and interest, anyone got that? $15,876. And this is $15,876 minus the $1,500 repayment gives me $14,376. So a lot of people often do this. We're going to do it in a table. All right. Now, at the beginning of the third year, you owe $14,376. Your interest for the third year is $1,150.08. Principal plus interest is $15,528.08, and $15,526.08 minus the $1,500 is $3,526.08. So that's just summarising it all in a table. Now, it jumped from 14,000 to 3,500 in a year. It's $14,026.08. Now, what we're going to do in the next part, what we're going to do now is, see, this is reducible interest. The interest every year keeps going down, but with a simple interest loan, let's say this person borrowed $15,000 simple interest. So this is a comparison now. So this is a comparison for question 3. Let's say you didn't have a reducible interest loan. It was just a simple interest loan, a flat rate loan. Interest is the principal, which is $15,000. The rate is 0.08, isn't it? And N is 3 years. So this is if it was purely simple interest. Girls, the answer is going to be 3,600 because it's going to be the 1,200, 3 lots of it. See, this simple interest is the first year's interest, the same every single year. It's always 1,200 every year with a simple interest loan because it's the principal times the rate. Remember in the first one we did P, R, and N was 1, but now we've got N is 3. Can you see the difference? So this 3,600 is 1,200 in the first year, 1,200 interest in the second year, and 1,200 in the third year. Because that's why it's a flat rate interest. It never changes. But reducible interest goes down every year. As you owe them less, your interest should be less. That makes sense. So don't just look at the interest rate. You need to know if it's a reducible rate or if it's a simple interest. Okay? So how much more interest will be paid after 3 years if flat rate interest is charged rather than reducible interest? So we'll do the 3,600 minus, what was the total interest for the other one? 3,526.08, which is $75.92. 73, sorry, 92. Okay, not much, but it'll add up over time. Loans. Megan obtained a $300,000 housing loan, maybe to buy a small unit out Western Sydney somewhere, at the interest rate of 6% per annum. Look, currently the interest rates are probably sitting at about 5%, so this is fairly close, okay? She makes monthly repayments of $4,000. Now that is very realistic, all right? Right, what is the interest rate per month? Actually, sometimes that's a bit high, the $4,000 a month. That's paying it off quickly. That's considered paying it off quickly for a loan like that. So what's the interest rate per month? Now, the reason is, you need to listen carefully. When you obtain a home loan, you don't make yearly repayments. You have to make monthly repayments. So because we're making monthly repayments, I need to know what interest they're going to charge me for the 1 month. I can do this in a few ways. My R and N have to match because I want interest for 1 month. My time period is 1 month. I want the interest for a month. All right? So what's the interest rate per month? Girls, it's 6% per annum. How many months in a year? 12. So it's 6 over 12% per month. 6 over 12 is a half. That's 0.5%. All right? That's not my answer. Because it's a 0.5%, what do I do now? Divide by 100, which is 0.005. Okay. Now, the reason I'm doing this, we're going to do exactly what we did in the question before, but we're talking months. So I've made my interest rate a monthly interest rate, okay? Calculate the interest for the first month. So I can just use the simple interest formula here because it's only one time period. So my principal is $300,000 times my interest rate for the month is 0.005. And how many time periods do I have? 1. Well, there's a 15 in there somewhere because 5 times 3, 1,500? Yeah, $1,500 interest for the first month. Girls, the first month, not the first year. $1,500 interest for month 1. So what is the amount owing after the first month? Just think, you owe the bank $300,000. They're going to charge you $1,500 interest for the first month, but what are you paying back? Minus $4,000. That's your repayment. She makes monthly repayments of $4,000. Now, girls, that is a big, big repayment. Most people can't afford to make those sorts of repayments. Okay? So, what have we got? $297,500. That's actually pretty good. So, can you notice that as long as you're paying back more than the interest you're charging, your loan will come down? But if you just paid them back exactly $1,500, you're still going to owe them $300,000. Now, some people that just invest in other property just for investment purposes have an interest-only loan, and they pay the interest off only, and they'll owe $300,000 forever, pretty much. I think you can do it for 5 years. But they hope that the value of the property will go up, and it often does, and they make their money that way. All right, so if you've heard of interest-only loans, some people they'll say, right, we're charging you $1,500 interest, we're only going to pay you $1,500 back. But you have to specifically tell the bank, I'm doing an interest-only loan. And they'll still, if they only pay back $1,500, they still owe $300,000. But this is a reducible. They're paying interest and principal. Interest and the amount that they've borrowed back, slowly. So at the beginning of the second month, don't they now owe $297,500? So it's $297,500. Interest rate is 0.005 for the month times 1. Month 2, the interest charged is a bit less than month 1, and it should be because you owe them less money and they're working out interest on a lower principal. So the interest for month 2 is $1,487.50. So therefore, the amount owing at the end of the second month, you owe them $297,500. This is why it's better to do it in a table, and we will do it in a table down the end. Plus the interest, $1,487.50, minus the repayments are always the same. What's the repayment? $4,000. Owing at the end of the second month is $294,987.50. So the interest for the third month is PRN again. You now owe $294,987.50. The interest rate is still 0.5% per month, which is 0.005 times 1 month. The interest should be less than $1,487.50. I'm thinking it's about 1476-ish. 1474 point. I'm going to just keep it all there and round at the end, okay? So the amount owing at the end of month 3 is what I owed at the beginning of the month, 294,987.50, plus the 1474.9375, minus my monthly repayment of $4,000. What I'm going to do now, we've got 0.4375. I'm rounding that off to 44, okay? To the nearest cent. Yep, it's 1,500, 1487.50, and 1474 point. I'm actually going to make that 94 now, because that's what it will round to. I'm going to make that 94. And what do we get? Notice the amount. That's the interest for month 1. That's the interest for month 2, and that's the interest for month 3. Notice it goes down every month because you owe them less. And the total interest for the 3 months is $4,458.44. If it was a simple interest flat rate loan, you'd be paying $1,500 interest every month. All right? And we're going to summarize that now in the table. There's a mistake here. Can you make monthly repayment instead of yearly, please? P plus I minus M will do. P plus I minus M minus the monthly. Principal plus interest minus monthly. Okay, first year. A mistake here, 4,462.44. Okay, year 1. The principal is 300,000. The interest was 1,500. P plus I is 301,500. P plus I minus M, I'm just going to put the answer. P plus I minus M, I'm just going to put the answer. 297,500. Year 2, the opening principal is 297,500. Interest, 1,487.50. P plus I, you can work that out. But at the end of the second year, you owe 294,987.50. Anyone got this P plus I? So at the end of the first year, end of the first month, you owe 297,500. At the end of the second month, nearly just under 295,000. And in year 3, opening balance is what the closing balance was from the month before. The interest, I'm going to round it to the nearest cent. Principal plus interest you can do. And the amount owing at the end of the third month is 292,462 and 44 cents. If this was a flat rate interest loan, I equals PRN. I can still use this. If it was a flat rate interest loan, how much interest would she pay after 3 months? If you understand what flat rate interest is, it would just be the 1,500 times 3. Or if we want to use the formula, it's 300,000 times 0.005, because that's the interest rate per month, times 3, which is 4,500. So notice, if it was a flat rate interest loan, they always say to you, you borrowed 300,000, and we're going to make you pay interest on 300,000 for the life of the loan. That is really unfair because you've paid money back already. Do you get it? So, compared to 4,462.44 when it's reducible.